Welcome back to Run It Back Season 2. I'm Josh Barnett from 19.9. I'm here with my co-host, Mateen Cleaves. And today, Mateen, we have the class of 96s in the building.
Oh, yeah.
Building with
Yes,
Villanova legend and the pride of Patterson, New Jersey, New Jersey's finest, Tim Thomas. Tim, how you doing, man?
I'm good, fellas. I'm good. Can't complain. How's everything?
Everything is great. I'm sorry. I can't hold it back. I'm excited. I'm sorry. I can't. This is one of the top dogs. I'm telling you, I'm excited, Tim. So this is great, man. I am so excited that you're coming on here, man. This is going to be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Tim, where we like to start with a lot of our guests is just the origin story, the basketball origin story. We know where you're from. We know where you ended up. But how did you get from where you were from to where you ended up? How did you fall in love with the game? Can you share some of your childhood stories? Was basketball was your favorite sport? Was it something else? What hooked you? Because we're all hooked by the game in some way, shape, or form, and we just want to hear your story.
Yeah, well, growing up in Patterson, I basically played every sport to kind of stay out of trouble, because that was definitely something that was right there, in every inner city. We have to deal with that. So growing up for me, baseball was my first love. And I started
baseball.
Yeah, baseball, believe it or not, dog. And I'm gonna tell you a funny story, and you're gonna be like, that's how everybody caught up to me. So baseball was my first love. I played football as well, quarterback with football, but baseball was my thing, right? And I started growing. I had growth spurts. So at that point, the strike zone becomes a little bigger and things of that nature, right? So, you got to make that switch. So basketball was, definitely the thing for me. My gym teacher, Mr. Marino, really introduced me to every sport. And he was the guy that was telling me about the guys that was in the neighborhood that was having great success in the college ranks. So you had guys like Roy Sparrow was actually in the NBA playing with the Knicks, right? Went to Nova.
Yes.
Dwight Wilbert, had his success. You had guys like James Scott that went to St. John's, James Hargrove that went to Duquesne University. So he was introducing me to the guys in the neighborhood that, played the game and, telling me I should, go watch them and, try to be around them to grow and develop a little bit more. And that's basically when I fell in love with it. Sixth grade, I went to 5-star basketball camp. First time out, I left camp best sixth grade in the country. And that was our class, Mateen, right?
Yeah.
So, and from that point on, it was just, the marathon starts and, you just, go with the flow.
Wow.
So that was it for me. That was it for me.
That's crazy. And I'm glad you said that. So people, stop posting on social media that your son is the number one third grader in the country. All right. Come on, stop doing that, man. Somebody's going to be 6'8" to 6'10" that's going to pick a basketball up in the sixth grade. So please stop that. Now, let me, I got to throw this in there, man, because you hear a lot about playing at the Rucker in New York or Chicago and some of their parks back in the days. Even in Michigan, we had some good basketball going on in our parks. Like, how was it, man? What was the move? Was it a lot of trash talking going on? What was it like playing at the parks in New Jersey?
I mean, you either had to win the game or win the fight. So that was it for us, man. I mean, a lot of the OGs in the neighborhood, they always, took me with them, so I could kind of learn the ropes and, become that dog per se, and have that mentality, to push it further. So yeah, that was it, man. It was either win the game or win the fight. But a lot of it kind of, helped, with the game itself, because, as a youngster, you're going in the park, you're playing against older cats, right? So, if you lose, that's a 2-hour wait, 3-hour wait. You know what I mean? So you had to bring your game. And, it was a lot of flash, New York, New Jersey, we had the flash and, we got to look good and all that. But it was definitely something that, helped me through my process. Definitely.
So let me ask you this, because we were talking a little bit offline and you were talking about your AAU program. And this is where I feel like I'm an old man down here, and I get on my soapbox, and I'm like, everybody just plays AAU. Nobody goes to the parks anymore.
Right.
Do you guys see that? Do you see that where you're at? We're in the process of doing like a playground court refurb down here in my hometown in Indiana. And I'm like, part of the reason to do it is to bring kids back to the park to get them playing. Like, I grew up the same way. I would go to Gulfmore Park. I would play against older guys, and it's the only reason I got anywhere good. Now, I wasn't you and Mateen, but I was good for my area, and that had a lot to do with it. Do you see the kids today growing up and solely focusing on AAU and not getting the playground aspect, or is that still pretty prevalent in your area?
No, it's definitely just AAU and training. And Mateen, we talked about this summer, right? You got so many guys that really don't know the game, and they're using the kids and the parents to benefit their own, personal, situations. So the kids are losing out. The best place to go is to go to a park where you don't know nobody and you just want to get a run, and you never know who you're going to be playing against. It could be, a kid in high school, a kid in college, a former pro, out there. But no, man, it's just strictly AAU, and these kids are playing for, the social media hype machines and the circuits per se. And there's no real skill set and development within the game, and I talked to, numerous guys that are coaching in college or, even in the pros. And the one thing that everyone always talks about is, the development of the kids, so it's a sad situation, but there's a lot that's going on in the cities that's keeping kids away from the parks as well. We all know, what's going on there. So, at some point, man, hopefully, we can get the kids back in the parks and, just have them get up and down and just learn and grow on your own.
Right. Tim, and it's funny, man, I hate the fact that the kids don't get that aspect of it because, we did some drills, but man, that's how I learned how to play. Like, okay, I struggle going to my left. Well, you have an older guy out there that's sitting on your right hand. So next few weeks, you better work on that because that's what they're going to do. And it wasn't no training, dribble a basketball, pick a cone up. It wasn't all that, man. You go to the park, you get your shot blocked, you get the ball.
And you wanted to earn those old guys' respect too. Like that meant everything to me, was to be accepted by the older group,
But like Mateen was saying, when you're out there, it's not the training with the cone or the training with, whatever,
a tennis ball rolling off a table that you're grabbing with your left hand as you're dribbling with your, like all that dumb shit that you see.
Right. You're actually going through the process, so you're getting the experience, So like Mateen said, if it's a guy just sitting on your right hand and forcing you to dribble left, guess what? The whole park is going to do it for 2-3 weeks until you figure it out.
Right.
And not only that, they're calling out, they're like, he can't go left. He can't. I mean, they're letting everybody know.
Right. And with AAU and you see it sometimes in high school, coaches just coach off their strengths, and if it's a kid that can go right or he's a shooter or whatever, they just coach off of that. They don't try to help and prepare the kids for college, so that's why the game is up and down, the roller coaster. You'll find a couple of gyms here and there, but for the most part, everybody pretty much looks the same.
Right.
Well, keeping it on the AAU circuit for a minute. Your AAU team: Rip Hamilton, Kobe, Vince Carter, Kevin Freeman, Tim Thomas.
That ain't fair.
What
was fair.
That's
what
why
was that like?
Oh, it was fun. It was amazing because again, for me, I was the best sixth grader in the country, sixth grade year. So a lot of the guys was actually chasing me, right? So when Vince came, we just clicked instantly, right? So I was seeing things in Vince and I'm like, this guy got to be the best dunker, ever, because the stuff that he was doing was just unreal. Right. And then obviously Kevin was, the bruiser and,
He was a dog. People forget about how important he was to UConn in that championship run that they made. He was a dog, man.
Yeah, and Kevin was a guy that, you could just throw out there and he'll fit into any situation perfectly. But when Rip and Kobe came, it was just icing on the cake, right? Because we didn't know what Rip was bringing. We heard about Kobe coming up the rank. So when we finally got a chance to all get on the court together, I believe Vince might have told this story too, but Kobe just got in the game and caught the ball damn near half court and just pulled up. The first one was the air ball, right? And he came right back. If you know Kobe, right, Mateen, he came right back to the same spot and shot it again and made it, right? So we all just kind of had to, fill each other out. But for the most part, man, we're responsible for what you see now, basically in the AAU circuit, right? So, we won the national championship 93, 94, I believe. Well, back to back. I don't know which 2 years it was. But we were selling out college arenas. They had to move our games to, college arenas. And from that point now, you start having the younger guys like LeBron and all of those guys coming behind us, and they're reaping the benefits off of that stuff playing on ESPN. I remember myself being the guy who started, MSG Game of the Week. You had who was before me? Felipe was before me, right? So it started with Felipe, and then they came right over the bridge to Jersey, and it was me and Shaheen, that they would just, constantly go back and forth. And you had guys, Stephon as well, Sham God, all those guys in New York, they was getting coverage as well. But yeah, man, it was great, man. That's the AAU team ever assembled.
No argument here, baby. Oh my God! If I could have been the fly on the wall for those guys, woo!
Yeah. It was fun times, man. We was living like rock stars. We was definitely living like rock stars. And the funny thing about it was no shoe brands. It was none of that stuff. And back then AAU was the wild, wild west, right? So you could get a kid from Michigan and put them on the Jersey team, kid from California, put them on the Texas team. So when you went to, events or circuits, however you want to put them, each weekend, you never knew who was going to be in that gym. Right. So you always had to bring your game. It's not just, I'm going to play hard championship week and coast the rest of the circuit. No, you always had to bring it because, everyone was looking to, move up the ladder,
Yeah. And Tim, like when you just talk about, like you mentioned some names, the LeBrons and all these guys, like how was that? Because I wasn't that, you know what I mean? How did you handle that, man? How was the life, for you? How did you handle that, man?
I did the best I could. Yeah. Honestly, it was crazy. It was really, really crazy. I mean, a kid growing up in the inner city, having any college, of your choice to go to, having an NBA, at your door, right. It was just unreal. I had $19 million on the table my senior year in high school.
Explain that, right? 19 mil. Talk to us about that.
Well, I was the Adidas kid, right? So now everyone is getting the NIL deals with, different brands and stuff like that. So back then, myself, Kobe, probably even yourself, you probably wore Adidas or Nike or whatever, right? So back then when we was in high school, the brands basically took care of the programs. So if you wanted to play in a top events and things like that, they wanted you to wear, the Adidas gear, which they gave us. And then they would also pay for our travel to go play in these, certain events. So it was just that, for a lot of us that had that opportunity, myself, and in our class, myself, Kobe, Jermaine. And it was a few guys that was thinking about it, but that was the cream of the crop, right, in our class. So I had the Adidas deal, right? And then depending upon where you get drafted, that money. So my senior year, I was on the board at 13, right? And because I had the body, I had everything, right? So that I was
and
pretty
the
much
game.
ready in the game, right? So I was ready, but my thing was I wanted to be a top 10 draft pick, right? So that was the reason why I chose to go to school. And it kind of gave me a year to kind of settle down to get a hold of my life, because it was just, out of hand at that time. So, but yeah, that was it. It was 19 million on the table.
Right.
My senior year in high school.
You better than me, because that 19,
Yeah.
I would have took that 19.
Well, I made more. I made more
Yeah.
in the 8-month span,
100%.
by becoming the 7th pick,
Yeah.
So, and then the sneaker deal was still there, so it all worked out.
I would have maybe negotiated an advance off that 19 mil on the table. Well, let's we're gonna get there. So skipped ahead a little bit, but let's talk Patterson, New Jersey, Patterson Catholic high school days. I actually went back when we were doing the pod, or researching for the pod, and watched some kind of news clip from you. And it was just that team was stupid. I mean, they were really, really, really good. And you guys won a state championship. Is that right?
Yeah.
Sophomore year, maybe.
My sophomore year, correct.
Yeah,
We should have had more, but unfortunately, we kept running into the Hall of Famer, Mr. Hurley, Coach Hurley.
Yeah,
and
the juggernaut.
I had the opportunity to talk to him a few months ago, and he explained to me that he had the game plan, right? So in high school, Mateen, we played, so how colleges prepare for a certain athlete, on the other team that might be a scorer or whatever. And then the NBA is the same thing, right? You got to prepare for MJ or, Grant Hill or whoever, right? And that's what Mr. Hurley was doing to me, right? So he had his game plans to basically shut me down and force everyone else to, have to, step their game up and stuff like that. But no, Patterson Catholic was great, man. There was 2 dominant schools in the city, Eastside High, the famous Lean on Me, right?
Yeah.
A lot of guys went there. And then you had the other school on the other side of town, John F. Kennedy. So a lot of guys went there. So Patterson Catholic at the time was known as Punk City, literally. Right? They had all of, my wife went there. They had all the pretty girls went there. You had all the smart dudes in town went there, stuff like that. So to change the culture was everything, for me. And that was one of the reasons why I went there. And also the group that we had, what we basically did was those guys played with me in the summer with AAU. So we kind of built that chemistry to take it over into the winter. So it kind of just meshed and played its way out. So that's why we was able to get on the scene and cause havoc like instantly. Obviously being, number 1 player in the country, that helps as well. But, you can't do it, by yourself, in a team sport. So that kind of really, helped the process there. But that was great, man. It was great. We had some great run-ins with a lot of guys in our class. We played in some great tournaments across the country. And I was able to showcase my talent, and the guys was able to piggyback off of me and get looks and go on to college. So that's what it's about.
Man, and the fact that you didn't win like 4 state championships is just like a testament to how good the basketball was in your area. Because, I mean, you were that good. Like a lot of other states, you win 4 by yourself because you were that good. But I think the fact that y'all didn't win it all just a testament to how great the basketball was in the area.
Yeah, I mean, you had St. Anthony's, obviously. My brother Shaheen was a dog fight every time we played St. Pat's.
Yes.
You had a bunch of different schools, man, that was just, phenomenal with basketball. And it was good. It was actually good because each year it made you a little bit more hungrier to want to get there. And then every year we would run into, St. Anthony's, and somehow, some way they would get us.
Boxing ones.
Yeah, boxing ones. Just doing different stuff to our guards and all kind of stuff. So it was fun, man. I won't take anything away from it. Other than the fact that I thought me and Kobe should have had some more games against each other in high school.
Yeah.
Especially after he took over the #1 rank the summer that I got hurt.
Yeah.
So we was looking forward to trying to make that game, and they just never wanted to make that game. They actually played St. Anthony's, but they didn't play us. Which was a little weird, but it was fun times, man.
So like I referenced, we got the class of '96 on the pod today with you and Mateen. You guys were both McDonald's All-Americans. Mateen, what do you remember about Tim from the McDonald's All-American game?
Ice cold. Man, because I've been hearing about him, and I have been hearing about him so much, man. But
I assume that's the first time you matched up or played against or saw him in person?
Yeah, first time I seen it up close and personal. And unfortunately for me, and people don't even know this, my back was broken that game. That's when after I left there, I went and got x-rays and found out I had 2 cracks in my back.
Hey, that's a recruiting story for another day, though.
Yeah, that's a whole nother day. But let me get back to Tim, man, because Tim was the real deal, man. That we hadn't seen nothing like that. I mean, at 6'8", 6'10", I mean, skill, handling the basketball, shooting the basketball, passing the basketball, jumping out the gym. Tim was unguardable. Seriously, like nobody there. Him and Kobe, they were in the class by themselves. Jermaine was right there, Jermaine O'Neal. And you got to think, we're all Americans, but it was a different level of All-Americans. And Tim, he was the guy, him and Kobe. I swear when I left there, I was scratching my head saying, I got some work to do. You know what I mean? Like, these dudes, it's a whole nother level. Yeah, but he was the real deal. Tim was unguardable for sure.
Yeah, so if you go back to that game, right, that weekend, do you remember I came late? I came late. I missed the team photo. I think the guys went on the roof or something and took a team photo.
Yeah, we did. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I missed that because I was already in business mode, right, for the future. So I was trying to see what the board was looking like on the NBA side. Yeah. So for any of the first high schoolers that was going to go, obviously the number was going to stick with 13, and that was Charlotte had that pick, right? So
that's the Kobe pick. It ended up
that
being
was the Kobe
pick,
right? Yeah. So I had told my folks, I said, "Listen, I'm gonna go out because I had lost the #1 rank, right? Mm-hmm. Kobe had the #1 rank, so I said, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna dominate the first 5 minutes, and I'm gonna take my uniform off, and I'm gonna announce I'm going pro." And Mateen, do you remember the first 5 minutes of the game?
Oh, you killed.
Yeah. So I had a couple of dunks, I had a couple of threes, a couple of blocks, right? So it was like, let's go ahead and shut it down and let everybody know what's going on. And then I was going to announce I was going pro. But unfortunately, my guys talked me out of it. So I ended up playing the rest of the game there. And then it was the same mindset when we got to Detroit for the Magic round ball game. So Shaheen won the MVP for the McDonald's game. Yep. And I ended up winning it for the Magic game. Mm-hmm. So, I was just trying to make a statement to let the league know now if I go, I should be the first guy, regardless to the pick or whatever,
And the sad thing for you on the competition level, you and Kobe was always on the same team. So you couldn't go against each other, Yep.
Yeah. And then that year before those 2 games, we was actually trying to get, like I mentioned earlier, we was actually trying to get high school games versus Kobe. Yeah. And they just kept declining, So, and I got hurt at ABCD basketball camp. The first day, I dunked the ball. I was playing against Jermaine O'Neal. I dunked the ball. My finger got caught in the rim, ripped off my fingernail. So us back then, it was just wrap it up, let's go, right?
Yeah.
And the doctors was like, "No, Tim, You can't play. Sweat get in there, get infected. You might lose your finger. So I had to sit. I had to sit and watch the whole rest of the week.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I lost the #1 rank because obviously Kobe was killing. Jermaine was killing after we played each other. Lester was going crazy.
Lester Earl.
Yeah,
People
Lester Earl.
People forget.
Oh, yeah. So it was tough, but yeah, man, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
Was it always Nova, or were there other schools involved?
Everyone was involved, but the thing about it was I wanted to go in to college playing the 3, right? When you're 6'10", 6'11", back then they throw you right.
Back then, that's the important part. Back
You're
then, now
right
you can come out and be whatever you want.
Right,
Different.
right. I'm what you see now, right?
Yes.
So, but back then, that was my spill to everyone. It was like, all right, I know you're recruiting me. You know, you might be recruiting this guy, yada yada, but where are you trying to place me? Like, you know, I want to get an understanding of what you think about my game. You know what I mean? I don't want to come play in your system. I want you to tell me about my game and how you're going to place me, right? So, because I'm already a pro.
Right.
I don't have to come here. I don't have to come here. But if I come here, I want to know where you placing me, right? So that was the whole thing. So I took no official visits whatsoever. One day, no official visits.
That's very rare.
That's very rare.
Yep. So one day, I took a day off from school and just shot down to Nova. They didn't know I was coming or anything. And I just walked on campus and just tried to get a feel for, you know, campus life, the guys, how they operate and all that kind of stuff. So I went down and just hung out with the guys, right? So the first person I run into on campus was Chuck Cornigan, right? And he's like, yo, I'm gonna take you where the guys at. So it ended up being lunch. Everybody was in the caf eating, you know, hanging out and stuff. So I got a chance to meet everyone else. And then I just stuck around just to see practice and all of that kind of good stuff. And I just kind of fell in love with the brotherhood, the closeness, the small university atmosphere. And once Lapis and Paul Hewitt told me, if you come here, we'll play you at the 3. And to make it even better, we're going to redshirt the guy that's starting at the 3 now.
Squeeze another year out of him later.
Yeah. And that was it. My man Zeffy Penn redshirted. And once I, you know, had to make up my mind whether it was going to be the league or college, I was like, oh, you know what? I like this field down there. And plus, Kerry Kittles had left the year before.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so I was like, okay. Well, he was leaving that year. So I'm like, okay. Now they need a scorer. They need a dog. You know, they got 2 guys that's on the board with Alvin Williams and Jason Lawson. I could learn from these guys, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And that was basically it. I went in and I just told Nova, I said, I'm coming, baby. And, you know, it was a party. That was it.
I'm sure it was. That's crazy, man. I never knew that. I thought they was.
It was, I had so much hype and so much media that was, you know, trying to figure out what was going on, how it was going to happen. And I just, you know, held back and I just did it that way. Now, internally in New Jersey, it was a lot of guys that I wanted to come with me, right? So obviously me and Shaheen wanted to play together, right? So that was it. Shah went to Seton Hall.
Yep.
And he fell in love with everything there. And he committed early, but I told Shaheen, I said, just wait, because we had a lot of guys that was really good. We had John Celestin, you had Malika Allen, you had obviously Shaheen, you had TJ Kawet that was a shooter. You had Brian Lynch, remember Brian Lynch that was a shooter.
Yes.
You had all these guys that was in our class. And I wanted to get everybody to come, you know, with me. So I told Shah, I said, just hold off because those guys was going to follow regardless.
Right.
And I just wanted to make sure it was the right, you know, feel and fit for everything. But obviously Shaheen didn't like anything about Nova and he chose, you know, Seton Hall. And that kind of, you know, threw everybody off because remember, he committed first.
Yeah.
And once he committed, everybody just instantly thought I was going to Seton Hall. So I kind of just shut down for like a week. And like I said, I went down and visited the school, and it was unofficial, and the coaches didn't even know I was on campus until I showed up in practice, and everybody was like, "Oh, get the media out of here! Everybody get out!" It just worked out perfectly, man. But Alvin and J Law, man, salute to them, man. They kind of just opened the door for me, and they said, "Tim, this your team, man. This your team. We go as you go," and they kind of showed me the ropes. And first game out, man, I got it on my Instagram right now. I had 29-9.
Man, listen, I love when you post these because it takes me back, man. And Tim is one of them guys that you just love to watch play because you had so much game. So you say now Steve Lapis and they let you come in. Alvin, them guys kind of just said, "Hey, man, come on." With no friction, they say, "Come on, Tim, do your thing."
Yep. And Lapis was great because he understood I was still trying to get a feel for playing that 3 spot, meaning, you got to be in a certain shape, and all of those kind of things, right? So obviously I played some 4, I played some 5 when guys got in foul trouble, but he was great with just allowing me to, kind of work my way really into shape and get it going. But after the first game, he was like, "Man, you doing all this. Now I got to start drawing up different stuff, for you, because you can shoot the ball, you can handle the ball, you're a great passer, all those kind of things." So he was like, "I got to just flip it around a little bit." But yeah, man, it was great, man. They opened the doors with open arms, and it's still that way to this day.
Shout out
with
to
the
Lap.
university.
Good dude. Great
dude.
He was like the character. He's one of the characters of college basketball that I feel like we're missing now. You had those coaches that were just like characters.
Yeah.
I love Lapis. He was
the energy buddy on the sideline.
Yes.
All we have now is we have politicians now, man. We need the characters back on the sidelines.
Well, I mean, the you can't really go as hard anymore with these
too much money involved.
Yeah, and
they all AAU.
Yeah, they all AAU babies, so
yeah.
They spoiled in a sense.
Get back to the playground like we were saying earlier, then we can get those guys back in the
game. Right. Yeah.
So you guys had a great year at Nova. Your 1 year there, won the Big East championship in the regular season. What stood out to you most about that year, regular season? We'll get into the tournament next, but regular season wise, what really stood out? Is there a game? Is there a couple games? Is there a stretch of games? Something that happened in the locker room?
No, I mean, team-wise, we was great. We did get in trouble one time. Chuck Hornegay broke his hand. He punched the wall. We was watching Tyson. Remember when Tyson lost to Buster Douglas?
Yeah.
So we was all watching a fight, and Tyson goes down. Chuck punches the wall, breaks his hand. So we got to go running 3-4 o'clock in the morning. But that was about it. We got stuck on the hill. In Puerto Rico, the team bus got stuck on the hill, steep hill in Puerto Rico. Other than that, we didn't really have no real friction within, the guys or anything like that. Game-wise, what stood out to me was we went down to Kentucky, lost on CBS by 30. They had 8 pros.
Yes.
I had it in my notes. I had it in my notes to ask you about the Kentucky team.
Yeah. So that was tough. It's still tough to swallow.
Because people forget that 97 team, Kentucky team, lost to Arizona in OT in the Natty. But if they win that in OT, if they win that, they go 96, 97, 98. They go back to back to back.
Right.
Mike Bibby, baby, 9-6. Mike Bibby. 9-6, baby.
9-6. Had to get him out of there. Thank you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
But no, that game was just that atmosphere and everything that happened that in that 2-day span was just great, man. For a visiting player coming in, at the hotel, "Tim, we're gonna kill you," and all that kind of stuff. And then, you go into the arena and it's a historical place, obviously. The fans are nuts and crazy. And then, they just throwing different combinations and different things at you. Everybody's making shots. And it's like, they got 7 with a potential 8, pro players on the team, but it's like you look around, it's like, damn, it's like where they coming from, and it was just rotating and just keep making shots, and that was cool. And then having the opportunity to play against Duke in Philly at the arena, that was the new arena, right?
Yeah.
And we sold out that arena before the Sixers or anybody else can sell out that arena. So that was a thrill. We ended up losing that game as well against Duke. So, and then I would probably say the week before the Big East tournament, playing the games that really counted, right? Those conference games, right? So we had Providence was tough with Sham God and Austin Crozier, and that crew, right? So we lost that game. We won the first game at home, which was my coming out party at 29-9. Then we went up there and lost to them by 13. And we went to West Virginia and lost on my birthday. But then towards the end, right before the tournament, we had to play Boston College, which was considered to be the champion that year with Scooney Penn. I just seen Scooney Penn the other day at the Garden.
That's my guy. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And who's the big fella they had?
But it wasn't Curly, was it?
No, it wasn't Curly.
He was a little bit before that.
Abraham.
Yeah.
Okay.
The big fella Abraham. So they was a good team, but we had beat them like 3 days before the tournament started. We went to Boston College, beat them by like 26. So we figured, okay, we got to fight the dogs, right? The dogs are Georgetown, UConn, Syracuse. If we get past them, we should be okay. So we did our part. They did their part. We end up meeting in the Big East Championship. My idol, my mentor came to the game, Scottie Pippen. And we end up losing the championship, right? So, so that was like what's going on? We just beat them by 26, and then we lose the Big East Championship. But it was a thrill for me because I got a chance to stay over and have dinner with Scottie, that night. Wow. And get some insight. So that was good for me as well. So, but
I like how he just gonna make us feel like peons. He's like,
here's the thing. Here's the thing about that.
Scottie,
like literally on the back of my chair is like Pippen's dream team warm up. I got Pippen over here on the wall, and I feel like he saw that and then just dug in on me.
No, but you know what? Actually, in high school, Pip agent was trying to sign me. So in high school, it was wild. Yeah, at that time. Yep. So, at that time it was the wild, wild west, right? So anything was going down. So what they would do is anytime they came to New York and New Jersey, they would basically, send for me. So I would, go to dinner with Pip. I was meeting MJ and those guys when I was in high school. Got a chance to see a lot of those Knicks Bulls, rivalry games. So that was a great thing for me. With Pip, he really, really gave me a whole lot of insight on what I was getting ready to get into in the NBA and all those kind of things. So, but that's my OG, man.
Yeah, giving you the game. Hey, that's priceless. You can't, you can't pay for that. Yeah. I got to ask you about this because you talked about the Kentucky game and you hit a little bit on it. But hey, listen, I grew up a Big East fan, so you got. These legendary coaches. You talking about Boeheim, it was John Thompson. You got all these great coaches, man. And I know I'm leaving out a ton of them, but how was that? To come in and play in some of these arenas that you just grew up watching on TV and playing against some of these great coaches. How cool was that?
It was everything, man. It was everything. We had ESPN here, on the East Coast. So you had a chance to see a lot of, the greats, the St. John's with, Chris Mullin and Mark Jackson and all those guys. You got a chance to see, Syracuse with Pearl and, DC and all those guys. So, for me, like, obviously having an opportunity to go to any college, in the country, playing in that Big East tournament was everything, right? Because you was following your closest, legends. Obviously the NBA guys was legends, but that was so far-fetched you couldn't even get to them like that, right? But you can always, have an opportunity to watch, the college guys. But it was everything, man, to my wife went to Georgetown, right? And then we got into a scuffle with them down in Georgetown. And and he rung that up. He was like, no, I'm gonna tell you lady. I'm gonna tell you lady. Right? So it was good times, man. It was good times. Bayheim, playing up there in that dome, man, it's rocking and it's cold and all of that kind of stuff. And they throwing they zone at you, and if you miss a couple of shots, and he's like, he's with us, and all those kind of things. And, good friend of mine, Donovan McNabb, was on that Syracuse team.
Yeah.
Jason Hart was also in our class.
Yep.
Was
great player
on that team.
Very good.
But it was just great, man. Going up to UConn, having a chance to play up there, man, and just soaking it all in, man. Playing at Notre Dame, like I love Notre Dame college football, so having a chance to go and see the campus and all that kind of stuff, it was a thrill, man. It was really a thrill, and I enjoyed it. I was only in school for 6 months, but I enjoyed
it. Speaking of that, everything that you've said leading up to this so far, I think I know the answer. But going into the NCAA tournament, then. Did you know that you were playing your last college basketball games at Nova, heading into the tournament, or was there still some, maybe I'll come back, do this thing again? And if I think I know how you're going to answer that, would NIL, being involved then as it is now, would that have changed anything, in your thought process?
Yeah. Well, let's start with the NIL deal. If it was NIL deals back then, I definitely probably would have stayed in school at least 2-3 years. Definitely.
Wow.
Definitely. Because our state school here, Rutgers University, right? They offered everything. They would have gave me a bank if I would have asked for the bank. So I could just imagine, right? Being 1, 2, or whatever. One of the best players in the country, we was getting offered all kind of stuff to, just to come on a visit, just come down on a visit, and, you get promised whatever, right? So, yeah, I think I probably would have stayed in school maybe 2 years, maybe 3. You never know with that. The NCAA run, by then I definitely knew I was gone, because my wife was pregnant with our first child. That was number one. Number two, I was already the national freshman of the year, right? So with that, I'm looking, I can't be no less than 15 on the board. If I was 13 coming out of high school, I can't be no less than 15. And once I got a chance to kind of realize where I really was at on the board, I already knew. I was already top 10 mid-season on the board, because I had played against guys that was considered to be in that top 10 category, and I had great games against them. So I already knew right then and there. So our first game we played against LIU, which was a local New York, university. They had some guys that I grew up playing against in the Rucker Park and stuff like that I knew. A lot of trash talking. So it was a fun atmosphere. We got past them, and then we played California.
And you let a football player beat you.
Exactly. They put a boxing one on me with Tony Gonzalez, and that team literally had 4, 5, 7 footers on that team.
Wow.
Yep. And they had Ed Gray, who was also underappreciated, like, and lost in the grand scheme of college basketball. He could hoop too. Yeah, I mean, but for me, like I didn't really have to worry about the guards as much, because we had 2 guys that was pros, with John Celestin and Alvin Williams. So you figure they would handle their business with the guards. But for me, the stuff that I like to do, getting to the paint, throwing it in on people and stuff like that. So it's like, you gotta, I don't know how tall Tony is, let's say 6'6", 255 solid,
guarding you like this, right? And then you get past him, and now you got to go attack a 7-footer. And they was rotating them in and out, in and out.
Oh.
So we lost that game. And a crazy story after we lost the game, you know, guys, you kind of sit around if you got family or you watch the next game, whatever. So I was already in the next step process, right? So yeah, I'm, you know, because it's business, right?
Right.
You know, when you're there, it's business. It's like, okay, you lose, okay, next step is over here, the league, right? So I sat in the locker room, absorbed it all up, and it was funny because our hotel was probably about a 3-block walk, right? So when we walking out the arena, it was me and I forget exactly who it was, but I was with one other teammate, and we're walking out with Coach Knight.
Bobby
You
Knight.
know, Bobby Knight, Coach Knight, yes. And this was the first time outside of a letter we're getting to really, you know, have a little conversation and talk or whatever. And I'm just thinking like the old stories. This guy's crazy, throw chairs, he'll fight you, yada yada. But he was humble. He was so humble and down to earth. And I kind of realized, I said, that's what makes people want to go play for this guy. Because yeah, he's gonna fight for you and do all the things for you to help you get to that, you know, certain point in life. But that was a great walk back to the hotel. And once I got in the elevator, man, and got to that room, it was like, college is over, on to the next, right?
Yeah.
So we leave. We actually played at Wake Forest in North Carolina. So we leave there, we get back on campus, and I shoot straight to Georgetown, right? I didn't even take nothing out of my room, nothing. I go straight to Georgetown. And I'm there like maybe 2 weeks before anybody even noticed that I was gone off campus. Wow. And they started calling me, Tim, are you transferring? We hear that you down at Georgetown and this, that. It was no social media, none of that stuff, right? It was just word of mouth. And it was like, yeah, we hear that you're down at Georgetown and this, that, that. I was like, yeah, down here with my lady. Guys, I'm going pro. I'll be back on campus next week to have some meetings with some agents. And that was it.
Nice, man. I love that, man. That's good stuff. I got to get this in, because when did you really click that I'm a pro? I know you had the potential to be a pro. Was it something in practice, because you had pros in practice with you every day, or was it a game that just said, oh yeah, I'm that way, it's on now?
I would say probably my junior year in high school, because that's when I started seeing the scouts in the stands.
Yeah,
and it's like you're no longer looking for the college scouts. It's like you're not looking for Georgetown. It's like, okay, is the Knicks GM coming today? You know, is the Celtics GM coming today? You start looking around, you know, and once you start realizing like, okay, they're here. Now you like, okay, I'm really there. Like and that's when things like really started like spiraling out of control. And you know, Mateen, like you got cousins that you don't know. You my cousin? Oh, really? I didn't know you was my cousin. I ain't seen you in, you know, it's all of that kind of stuff, you know. So going to school kind of helped me kind of slow all that process down and realize like who's really here for me and who's around, because they know it's some money on the table, you know. So. Yeah, I would say my junior year in high school.
You talked a little bit about how much of a relief it was once you got back to the hotel after losing the NCAA tournament game, saying like, "Hey, college is over; it's on to the pros." I've always wondered with you guys, with the level of success that you guys have had in your profession, when you get drafted 7th and you reach what I consider the mountaintop, right? Like that's what it's all about, is getting there, getting drafted, getting to the NBA, achieving your goals, and money, the money that comes along with that, and the endorsements and all the stuff that we've hit on. How do you stay motivated? How do you keep your motivation? How does that not become this sigh of relief where you kind of just rest on like, I did it, I made it? Where does the drive come from to stay in the league, 13 years like you did?
Because you start being around the guys that you idolize, and now it's like, oh, it's on. I got to show Patrick Ewing I could play. You know, do I want to be a friend? Yeah, if he allow me to. But on this court, I got to show him I could play. I got to show Charles Barkley I can go. Now I get to play against my idol. Oh, I'm gonna show you what I got, Pitt. You ain't gonna treat me like the high schooler and talk trash to me like that, you know? So it's more of that, because the biz you got to separate the business from the actual playing side of it, right? So obviously you're gonna need to take care of your business, get your shoe deals, your soda deals, your car deals, all that kind of stuff. But on the basketball side, it's more of the inner man comes out, right? It's like, I'm a competitor. I got to show you that I belong, right? It's not just a fluke, type thing. And that's basically it. And like for me, my vets, when I got drafted to Philly, well, I got drafted by the Nets and then traded on draft day. But when I got to Philly, my vets was Terry Cummins and Tom Chambers. Right. So
real
it
vets.
was
the old
real
guys.
vets. Yeah. And it was, I need my coffee, I need my tea, I need my newspaper, I need this breakfast every morning at 6. I don't care if you're going to hang out with the young fellas, this is that, but 6 o'clock I need this, that, or that. But the information in the game that they gave me, outside of like people like Scottie Pippen and Malik Sealy was also, got arrested, so a guy that gave me a lot of insight as well. They was the ones that kind of broke it down. Like, look, you need to do this, that, take care of your body, because before you know it, your career is going to be over. And they like, look, this is my 15th, 14th year. I'm not playing as much, but I'm still in the league. There's a lot of young fellas that should be in this spot, but I'm not going to let them take this spot until I feel like walking away, So that was it, man, which was the motivation of, obviously wanting to stay healthy, play as long as you can, wanting to be in good situations and try to win as many, championships as you can. And, with Coach with Coach Carl, that was like a blessing for me, even though I didn't want to get traded from Philadelphia.
Well, Tim, we certainly appreciate your time and talking through all this stuff with us. I did want to ask you one last question in relation to your career and more college, because we're college, for the most part, college based here. But looking back now, 25 years later, I know you said you were only in college for 6 months, but what does it mean to you to still be a part of Nova Nation? And that college experience that you got, what did it mean to you, 25 years now, reflecting back?
Fraternity. It's just like the league. I mean, you can go anywhere. You see somebody riding down the street with the tag, in their car, you could throw the V up. NCAA tournaments, you throw the V up. Just the friendships and the things of that nature. It means a lot outside of, our basketball fraternity, right? And it helps in so many different ways, right? In the corporate world, obviously. But yeah, man, it's nothing like being a part of a university. No matter what's going on, whether it's sports related, business related, it's just like another home, man. And everyone accepts each other, and it's just another family, basically.
So, Tim, what we're going to do, we're going to go into this new thing, what we call a shot clock. All right. So I just want to ask you few little fun questions, and if you can skip them or you can answer them, but let's dive into it. All right, baby. All right. Who was your favorite college hooper growing up? Because there were some great ones. So who was your favorite?
Ooh, there was so many, man, but I'm gonna go Len Bias was great. Walter Berry. I love Derek Coleman because he was so versatile.
DC, big bro.
People always talk about Christian Laettner, but he was just a winner, man.
Yes.
And obviously you got guys like David Thompson. Kareem won all the chips, stuff like that. Bill Russell had a great run, but yeah, man. I mean, it's so many guys, man. That's the favorite time of the year, man. March Madness come around, So there was so many guys, man, that I grew up watching and trying to get in the backyard or whatever after that Saturday afternoon game.
Yeah, I can see why you were as good as you were, because you named so many different players that had so many different tricks.
Yeah.
And he stole them all and just added them to his game.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what we do. You go watch
Yeah.
and then you try to go, you know, put it together on the court.
Yeah.
I did that. I did that too. I just didn't happen to be 6'10", athletic as hell.
Yeah. All right. Now who was your best Nova player ever? Who was the best Nova player ever to you? Yeah.
Oh, well, Ed Pinckney was a great, great guy, man.
Yeah.
He gave me a lot of advice. I love, you know, what he has done for the university. Obviously, I can't forget the two guys from my city, Roy Sparrow and Dwight Wilbur.
Some players.
Some players there. Kerry had a great run, obviously.
One sock up, one sock down.
He was sweet.
Yep. Yeah, but Jalen Brunson, man, and that crew, what he's, you know, was able to accomplish is
shout out to Rick, his dad.
Yeah. They're now with the Knicks and you know, working well over there. So yeah, man, we had a lot of great ones, but you know, I'm responsible for a lot of the guys that came through, you know, and
listen, 100%. You made it cool to come in Nova. You did. Yeah.
And
exactly.
and to this day, I'm the only, you know, one and done individual, you know.
Yeah.
So but yeah, man, we had a lot of great ones.
Yes, sir. Well, yeah. Let me say that. You ain't even got to say it. You made it cool to come to Nova. So I'll jump out there and say that. Who was your favorite artist, like musician, like rapper back? Who was you listening to back in college?
Oh man. Nas, Jay-Z, DMX, Wu-Tang. On the West Coast, you had Snoop, Ice Cube. The South was just starting to come around with T.I. and
Goody Mob.
Goody Mob, Big Boy and them, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, we grew up in that hip hop era, so you know, anything that was related to getting you hyped, getting you going for a game, whether you had to get in the gym and work out, whatever it may be. But yeah, man, I listened to a little bit of everybody.
It was like the perfect marriage, like mid 90s, you know, rap and basketball just were on a collision course, man. And
it's still that way.
Perfect.
It's still that way.
Like it's the culture of it, right?
Yeah.
I got two more, and I'll let you get out of here. Who was what was your like favorite movie back then, if you can remember? I know I'm getting old. You still look great, but if you can remember favorite movie back then.
Back then, we all used to love The Last Dragon, right? For so many different reasons.
Bruce Leroy.
Leroy. You know, we action guy. I'm an action, you know, type of guy. So anything with action in it, man. You know, Rambo back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just so many, man. I'll just leave it at them too.
Yeah, that's a tough question on the spot.
All the movies like blend together. You never know like what came out and what year and all that
shit. Yeah. I mean, it was just so much, man. And that was like our hangout, right? To go to the movies was like our hangout. Because we couldn't really go to the club.
We didn't have cell phones.
Yeah. So let me throw the last one out there. Your favorite hoop shoes back in college?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Man, well, Villanova was a Nike school.
But that was like recent, like when you got there, that's kind of like right around the time that Nike took over, because they were Apex with Kerry Kittles. And if you guys remember, Apex won. Right. That's who they were when they had the crazy uniforms. So like the first year that you had them, it was Nike. But like that's when Nike started putting them out in Finish Line and Champs. And like I had your Villanova shorts. Because that was the first year it was ever like available retail wise. And then I built I built a company like that brings them all back.
I want almost everything you got, because that's
you got it, man. We'll get to that.
Right?
You got it.
We grew up watching all those guys and wanting to wear the baggy shorts like the Michigan boys and all that kind of stuff. The black socks and all that. But my favorite shoe, well, I'm gonna tell you a quick story, right? So we was a Nike program, and you know how they issue everyone the team shoes per se. So every player is wearing the same shoe. So my guys, KG from Naughty by Nature, shout out to the crew, Naughty by Nature.
Yeah.
KG used to always send me the new shoe. So in that era, 96, you had the Jordans, obviously.
Jordan 11s.
You had Scotty had his own shoe.
Yep.
Penny had his own shoe.
Woo.
They were great.
Barkley had his own shoe. So they would send me, those shoes.
But you couldn't wear them on the court?
No, I was wearing
Oh, you
them.
would. You would. Okay.
I had the green light now. I had the green light.
I forgot the recruiting story about you could do whatever you wanted.
Baby.
Well, I went to a university that they wasn't paying me, and I wasn't looking to get paid. So that's the least they can do is let me wear whatever kind of shoe, right? As long as it was Nike. But they sent me everything. And if you go back and you look at some of those pictures, man, like I was wearing 11s. One game we played at the Garden against St. John. I have a picture where I'm hanging on the rim in 11s. I remember playing the LIU game in the tournament. I had on pennies, and the team was wearing, the issued, shoes and stuff like that. Yeah. But man, I used to wear all the hotness. Yeah, back in those days.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, that's my last question. That's what's up.
Okay.
Yes,
well, Tim, like we said, man, we really appreciate your time, man. It's been a blast. It's been an honor for me, somebody that doesn't know you, to have you on and get to chop it up a little bit from following you from afar for many, many, many years. I even went back into Old Slam magazine because I thought you might have been the high school diary. You remember how they used to have the high school diary on there? And so I went back and looked. I thought for sure you'd be on there. I knew you were featured in Slam plenty of times, but I always admired you from afar, man. We can't thank you enough for spending an hour with us here or whatever this ends up being. So thank you so much, man.
Anytime.
Yeah, that's big time, man. Yeah, like I said, and I appreciate you too, man. I know we're friends, 9-6. We got a fraternity. We stick together for no matter what. But as a college basketball fan, as a basketball junkie, I always get excited, man. Whether I'm talking to you, I'm around you, or even watching your old film, So appreciate you coming on, man. This was such a joy to be a part of and hang out with you.
Thank you, man. Always love, man. 9-6, baby.
Yes, sir. 9-6, baby.